Friends, today we are going to see the lecture number 11. It's all about allied enterprises for different ecosystems and their interaction. Already I have explained the meaning of enterprises. Enterprises are nothing but the different components which are available in the particular field or farm. So what are they? For example, the crop what we are growing, and also the other components like poultry, livestock, fishery, forestry, piggery, even goat and sheep rearing. Likewise, we are having so many types of components. Each component we can say as an enterprise. So allied enterprise for different ecosystems. Ecosystem means the place where they live. So when we look at the agriculture field, we are having mostly three different types of ecosystem. The first one is wetland ecosystem, second one is dryland ecosystem, and the third one is gardenland ecosystem. Wetland ecosystem means we all know wherever the wetland is there, mostly farmers go for rice crop, and gardenland means the crops which comes under any type of crop like C3 crops like pulses, even some of the cereal crops, those who demand the medium amount of water, not like rice. So except rice, there are most of the all other crops we can raise in garden land. Then when we look at the dry land ecosystem, in dry land the crops which comes under water scarcity, those crops we grow in dry land. And also in dry land the crops whatever we grow, the exactly in Kharif season alone we can raise the crops. The reason is dryland agriculture is completely dependent on rainfall. So the crops which are coming in Kharif season, those crops only can be chosen in dryland agriculture. So these are the three different types of ecosystem: wetland, garden land and dry land. So by having different components in each ecosystem, so based on the region it will be varied. The way the water availability is very high, there we can go for wetland type of farming system where the water is available in enough quantity, but other crops wherever farmers are raising, accordingly we can go for garden land, and the regions where water is very less, and by adopting some other components we can go for dryland farming system. So each farming system, for example in wetland, what are the components or enterprises that we can involve? So when we involve each and every component into that particular wetland system or dryland system or gardenland system, how are they interacting with one another? Already I have explained the difference between the interaction and competition. So interaction means how are they interacting one another in beneficial way, and competition means how are they competing one another. So let us see by having different components together in wetland. In wetland different components are there. Every component we cannot use at a time in wetland ecosystem, but few components we can insert and few components can be avoided. So based on the region it will be varied. Even as such in the garden land and dry land also it will be same. So now first of all let us see wetland. Now let us see what are the components that we can involve in wetland ecosystem for the farming system. So first I'll explain what are the components which are present and how can we take one another, and what are the different ways are there, what are the different components that we can involve, and how many are there I'll tell. Then we'll see the interaction between one another and also the competition between one another. So in every system crop is very common. In every system we have to raise crop. That's why if you see in every, I have written here all around 7 types. So in 7 models everywhere crop is there, and being wetland ecosystem, that means we are growing the crop as rice. We are raising the crop rice. So in rice crop what we require all the time, we have to maintain most of the times water. So when we maintain the water, automatically we are indirectly making that particular field as a aquaculture, we can making it to be ready. That means like fish pond. So that is the reason we are choosing fish in all the models. In every wetland ecosystem we are choosing fish as a common component. So crop and fish is very common in wetland farming system. Apart from that, what are the other components we can involve in this particular wetland? The first one is poultry, If you are not willing to raise the poultry, then you can go for ducks. Why we are going for duck? Duck also can grow well in standing water, and they love to be in that, and also not only in the water, they can live outside of the water. So accordingly we can raise the duck. Then the next one is pigeon. This is one of the bird. So pigeon also we can raise. Instead of poultry, we can go for pigeon bird. Then the next one is poultry or pigeon. Either pigeon or poultry that we can grow. Apart from that, we can go for mushroom cultivation also in the field. So we are raising crop. After we harvest the rice crop, we are getting the paddy straw. By using that particular paddy straw to raise the mushroom, we can use that particular paddy straw and we can get another yield from mushroom. Then the next one is crop fish plus mushroom. By avoiding this particular component, poultry or pigeon, only go for mushroom. Then the next one is crop fish, pig, mushroom. So instead of poultry or pigeon, we are involving again pig into the particular component, and mushroom became common. And if you are not willing to insert pig and mushroom, then go for crop fish and goat. Goat also can come very well in wetland, and goat also can be used in dryland farming. Mostly we use goat in dryland farming system, but in wetlands farming system also we can use, because goat comes very well anywhere. It will grow, like, because it will feed on different tree branches, so we can feed into the goat different materials by adopting different feeding material. So these are all different components which are present in wetland system. Now I will tell you how one component will depend on another component, and other component will depend on the next component. So in crop, when we raise the crop, in this crop will be raising, and in the farm, for example, let us take one unit area, small unit area for some particular. In this I am raising rice crop here. In the same rice crop, I want to release fish into the rice crop. But here another question is there. All the time you cannot maintain the certain level of water in the rice field. One important blank what we have to learn is here, in rice field always try to maintain 5 centimeters height of water level for better growth of rice. But here another question is there, when to give first. If for example I have given the irrigation today up to 5 centimeters height of water level, then when to give the next irrigation, that is another question. So when the particular water level comes down, and when you see on the soil hair line fracture, that means small fracture you can see on the surface of the soil, maybe that time some amount of water will be there, but still that particular soil will show hair line fraction, that particular crack will be there. That is the signature that you have to give the next irrigation. So by the time when you want to give the next irrigation, at that particular time water level will be very less, where fishes cannot grow in that particular water level. That is the reason in every unit area, in the beginning of the field itself, you have to maintain small pond. So whenever water level comes down in the field, those fishes will go to this pond. Pond means it is not very big pond, it is like some pit, some like 3 meters pit and 1.5 meters pit. That I will give the material, you can go through and study in depth how much measurement we need and everything I will provide. So in this pit they will come and stay. When you give the next irrigation, again they will come out and they will go into the field. Then what are the advantages that we are having out of fish? So fish, by selling the fishes we can get some income. Not only that, by rearing the fish, that means when in the beginning we release the fingerlings. Fingerlings means nothing but the young one of fish, the small fishes we call fingerlings. So when we release the fingerlings into the field, those fingerlings, we are having different types of fingerlings, like the varieties I am saying, types, rohu, katla, like that. Why we are having different fingerlings means some fishes are there who feed on grass, some fishes are there who feed on algae, some fishes are like different fishes will feed on different feeding material. So when we release different types of fishes into the field, they will feed on different material, and ultimately the things which are causing damage to the crop can be eaten by the fishes. Then another advantage is when we release more number of fingerlings, I mean fishes into the field, they may have competition one another. To avoid that also we are choosing different types of fingerlings so that some fishes will be surface feeders we call. That means all the time, most of the time those fishes will be on the surface of the water. Some fishes are subsurface, that means little in depth in the water they live, and some fishes will be in lower depth of the water they will live. So that when they are being in different depths of water, they will not have any competition between one and another. And also feeding material also, when they have different habits, then they will not face any competition one another. Then the next one is poultry. When we look at the poultry, this is very important component in wetland system. So here we are keeping small fish pond, small pit for the fishes. Then here we have to raise small house by 4 poles. I'll draw outside the field, but actually have to keep 4 small houses into the field. So this house I am drawing out. So we just draw 4 houses. So inside you can have chicks, and this house will be in the field and these chicks can be raised. So we will insert the chicks into the house. Once we release the chicks into the house, and during the night time you have to keep light inside the house for the brooding purpose. So when you keep the light for the heat purpose for the chicks, when you keep the light in the field during the night time, what will happen? You might have studied in entomology subject that one of the trap called light trap. So when you keep light trap into the house, during the night time insects will be attracted into that light, and when those insects come to the light, these chicks will feed on those insects. So indirectly they are helping in pest management by eating on the insects. That is one of the advantage we have. Not only that, when we are keeping this house in the field, so whenever chicks are dropping, that means excretion, whenever they excrete droppings, those droppings will fall into the field. So fishes will feed on those chicks droppings. So for the fishes, good food will be provided from the droppings of chicks or hen. So that is one of the advantage for the fishes from poultry. And also not only that, from the poultry dropping, for the crop also will get good manure. That is also because in poultry dropping the nitrogen content is very high, so that will be useful for the crop. Not only that, another advantage is by selling the eggs, by selling meat, chicken, we can get good amount from this. And also they will control the pest incidents in the field. So this is the how they depend one another. How we feed the chicks? By getting the previous harvest of the crop, the rice grains, for example, let us say that rice grain can be fed to the chicks, and also water will be provided as usual, and also they will feed on the insects. Likewise they will sustain their own life, and fishes will feed on the poultry droppings. Likewise one another they are having their own dependency. So like we can get the ultimate yield from this particular method of system. Then these are the advantages. Now let us see advantages and also interaction. That means how interacting one another, depending on one another. But now let us see what are the disadvantages or limitations or competition among one another. See, competition means we have to see here how the investment we are doing on individual component. So for crop, what all you have to buy? First of all, you should have land, and you have to buy seeding material, and in the beginning if you don't have enough menu, then you have to go buy fertilizers. Likewise some investment has to be made for the crop. Then for the fish, here for the fish you have to dig out the small pond in the field, that initial cost, and also you have to buy some fishes from outside, fingerlings you have to buy and release into the field. That also one of the initial cost that you have to make. And also last one, poultry. For poultry you have to get ready with the houses that are kept in the field, and also you have to buy chicks and you have to rear. For all these you have to manage. So one particular person is needed to give feed to feed the chicks. So likewise we need some investment also, but initial investment, that all the time we will not have this much investment. Once if we get ready with the houses, that is fine once for all. So next season onwards no need to spend any money on that. Even once if you dig out the pit, next year onwards or next season onwards no need to dig again another pit. Likewise in initial itself we have to spend some money on the wetland system. As the days pass by, then you can see good income out of which particular farming system. This is very good and best system that I'll share another video in the Google Classroom that you can follow up. So per unit how many fingerlings we have to release and how many chicks we have to release into one house and how many houses need to be arranged in the field. These all I'll give material, accordingly you study and you can come, because some in deep you have to study how many and all that you can by heart by looking into that particular material. I'm giving just concepts which is very important for exam. So next one is crop, fish, duck. So crop and fish whatever I explained in the first, the same thing, but the last one is duck. How duck helps in the farm one another. So you know duck will come well in, even duck can come in wetland area and also in dry land. That means in garden land area also, outside also it can live. So duck will also help in by entering into the field. It will feed on the weeds and also it will just swim and will come out. It will disturb the soil inside the rice field. When it swims inside the rice field, it will disturb. That means it will give some aeration into the soil, and also whatever gets stuck into the soil that can be again disturbed, and it will help to the rice crop. Because when we keep continuous standing water, what will happen? We can see some algae formation on the surface of the soil where aeration cannot be done into the soil. So by releasing the duck, it can be helped in such a way that where it will help indirectly to the crop, and not only that, even dropping of duck also will be utilized for fish like poultry. That is one of the advantage. Instead of having poultry, we can have duck farming. Then next one is crop, fish, followed by pigeon. Pigeon also one of the bird like poultry we can grow in the field, and maintenance also very easy, and the droppings will be very high. They drop so much, so that will be useful for the field in the form of manure. Then next one is crop, fish, poultry or pigeon, anything, either poultry or pigeon you can go for. Apart from that, mushroom one extra is there. So you all know how these three will depend one another. The last one is mushroom. How mushroom helps the farmer and how to do that. So in the field itself, in one corner you have to raise the small shed for the mushroom, where you have to maintain proper temperature by having gunny bags all around the shed, and you have to wet it all the time to maintain the cool temperature inside. If you are affordable, then you can go for air conditioner to maintain the favorable temperature. So here why you are going for mushroom means by having crop, rice crop, by using the paddy straw we can go for paddy straw mushroom or oyster mushroom, whatever it may be. You can raise the mushroom, and that mushroom also another income for the farmer. Then the next one is crop, fish, mushroom. By avoiding poultry and pigeon, we can go for crop, fish, mushroom. This is another component. By removing one component, another model I am saying. Then another one, crop, fish, pig and mushroom. See, pig means you all know pigs loves to be in the water. So when we have rice field, on certain amount of still how we left some area for fish farm. Likewise, you also leave some land area for the pigs, so that they will come here and they will be in that water, and not only that, they will drop there, and also they will disturb the soil, and that particular piggery can be used for the meat purpose, though all the people may not eat, but in the region, based on the region, it will be varied. In that particular location, the people who all are staying, if they feed on, if they consume on pig, then they can go for pig rearing, and also along with that mushroom we can go for. Then the last one is crop, fish and goat. Here goat means goat won't come into the water and stay, but when these two components are different in the farm, in the borders of the farm you may raise some tree species where those tree species can be fed to the goat, but here you need one shed for the goat, and so you have to separate small area for the goat, and in that shed you have to maintain the goats. And in the field bunds, wherever trees are there, those branches are separately. In the crop itself you can raise another crop which can be fed to the goat. That amount of food you can be provided to the goat. So here in all these, the disadvantage already I said about the poultry, And the next one is pigeon and poultry, and those all our limitations are the competition one another are same more or less, but in mushroom we have to raise the shed. That is the capital investment. The initial investment is very high when we go for mushroom production. So this is one of the drawback. So but only for the first year we have to invest, but followed by no need to invest anything. Even in the goat purpose also, for goat cows you have to lay a shed in the field to keep the goats inside the shed. For that also initial expenditure is very high, so that we have to look. So in wetland farming system, if you take any model out of which for everything you have to spend some amount of money in the initial. Once if we spend the money in the future days, no need to spend that much amount, but we'll be getting the income throughout the year by depending one component on the other. So this is the way how wetland cropping system, farming system is helpful for the farmer.